Oh, David Trolley, the music ministry of David Trolley. You are hot today, David. Thank you. That was lovely. And thank you, David. Very nice. And it's my joy to introduce our guest speaker today. Gosh, I've known this young lady. Listen to me. I've known this woman. I know, young lady. Okay, Joy, do it. Go ahead. I've known her for 21 or 2 years now. I think I met her at Unity Temple on the Plaza. I never knew I needed a dwarf in my life, and then I found one. She was running the Unity Youth Ministry at Unity Temple on the Plaza, where some of us visited, and we're down in the youth area, and I was a chaplain there, and then we found out that we were both in school together, and we planned Joy led us pretty much on a trolley, one of those motorized trolley tours around Kansas City, not unlike the ones that we did, the new students. And it was fun. And we were all dressed up as hippies and stuff. And over the years, Joy has just served the Unity movement in many ways. She served as the minister at Unity of Lehigh, Pennsylvania for, I can't remember how many years now, but how many, Joy? 10, 11 years. Oh, 11? Yes. And had a wonderful congregation there. I actually ran into one of her congregants at Unity of Walnut Creek, and we got to talk about her. And I think he maybe is coming back there with the pandemic done. And then Joy served on the board of Unity World Headquarters for 6 years, I think. And her
No, I'm still on the board.
I'm sorry, she's still on the board. Okay, well then I can give her. Are you? What do you have? One more year, or did you?
Hey!
I'm moving you too fast.
Yeah.
How many years have you been on the board?
This is 5.
Okay, so well, I thought it was 6 already, but let me go ahead and give you accolades, because during the last 5, 6 years when Joy served on the board, along with Billy Engelhardt at one time, and Sandra Campbell's on the board at Unity World Headquarters, really changes have been made that has brought us into the 21st century that really we needed to make a long time ago, moving into the Unity prayer ministry and having remote prayer partners on the phone. Anyway, I'm touting her horn and I'm taking up her speaking time. Please help me welcome Reverend Joy Wyler. Thank you, Joy.
So, yeah, I serve on the board. For a long time, I did a lot with Unity Worldwide Ministries. I was on the licensing and ordination team. I served as president of the Eastern region, and on that board for a while. So now I'm retired. So I get to say yes to what I want. And so I'm delighted to say yes to Unity of Davis and to be with you today. So I want to do like a little visualization thing. This is not a big meditation, but I want you to begin by closing your eyes. And I want you to imagine a body of light. And it can have no form, or it can have form, whatever you want. It can be dancing and moving, or it can be still. And it's just light. So for a moment, just feel that radiance. And now we're going to drape a form over that light that is a human expression of the wholeness within the light. So an expression of humanity will cover the light, but try to feel the radiance still within human form. Now we know that our humanity has features. So see what comes to you as you imagine this expression of wholeness, this perfect life form. What does it look like? Okay, so open your eyes. How many might have imagined what Jesus would look like in your human form? Anybody imagine what the Virgin Mary might look like? Anybody see Jimmy Smith? Okay, that's just me. That's my perfect human. So I think if we went around individually and everyone shared their image, that we might have as many different images of what a perfect expression of wholeness look like as there are people participating. When we imagine that light body, there are infinite possibilities in spirit. And yet when we move that divine idea of a human being into the material world, we find we have to narrow down and choose characteristics. Look a little deeper at that idea as we examine the features that we may have imagined and some features that we may have excluded. Did your imaginary being turn out to be male or female? Was it non-binary or transgender? Did your imaginary being appear white or black or Asian or indigenous or Latinx? Was your imaginary being straight or gay or lesbian or bisexual or asexual? Was your imaginary being blind or deaf or dwarf? As I move through those characteristics, some of them may have triggered a response in you. You may have thought, oh, that one's okay. That's okay. Wait, no, you can't have that characteristic in an expression of wholeness. So that is the heart of radical wholeness. What if you can have any of those characteristics in a human and they are a perfect expression of wholeness? And how does our belief about some of the characteristics that cannot be acceptable in an expression of wholeness impact our interactions with others? Now, I use the word perfect intentionally. I think we misunderstand perfect and its use in the Bible. We generally regard perfect as without flaws. But the Greek word translated as perfect is teleos, which means complete. If each of us is created in the image and likeness of the divine, can any of us come into the world incomplete? Well, no. But the divine, even as an image within us, is not humanity. So our completeness is in our light body. Our wholeness dwells in our divinity. But what about this physical humanity? If every cell is infused with the divine energy, is there a single picture of how wholeness looks? in the manifest world. If you have that single picture, I'm really curious what it looks like and where you got it. So Moses got stone tablets with the 10 Commandments, but I'm not aware it was an illustrated version. So where do we get the idea about what wholeness in humanity looks like? Honestly, I think we just make it up. We make up a version of the human we value, and then we judge everybody by our version. In the United States of America, historically and still today, we value male bodies more than female bodies. In the founding leadership of this country, we valued white bodies, and we called indigenous bodies savages or less than human. And as we brought labor to this country, we considered first Black, then Asian, and then Hispanic bodies as less capable and less valuable than white bodies. We have considered gay, lesbian, transgender, and non-binary bodies as defective. And we have only valued straight bodies, seeing reproduction as a symbol of perfection. And we have looked at people with various disabilities as less than, lacking the ability to be economically productive and therefore not as valuable as people with physical, mental, and emotional performance abilities. We value people who are tall and thin, unless they are linebackers. And then we value people who are wide and play football. We have a very complicated value system, and it works against a great number of people. There are a lot of characteristics that we consider flaws in the context of seeking a perfect expression. Now, when I say the term ableism, you may think that's just the opposite of disability. In its simplest terms, ableism is the practice and institutionalized structure of valuing some physical bodies over others, and the oppression and discounting of individuals based on their physical body. In this rudimentary version of ableism, we find the roots of almost all oppression in our country. Misogyny, racial injustice, discrimination and phobias around sexuality and gender identity, and the oppression of people with disabilities all arise out of judging bodies. So think about that for a minute. All of the oppression that we experience, that we have institutionalized, comes from judging bodies. Most of us are aware that religion, and by that I mean structured faith tradition, has incorporated much of the oppression of ableism into its own structure and hierarchy. How many traditions are still struggling with the equality of women in religious life? How many traditions are still struggling with the legitimacy of same-sex marriage? How racially integrated are most of our Sunday gatherings? And why are churches exempt from providing accessibility for people with disabilities? I can tell you that one. Because churches lobbied Congress when they were writing the Americans with Disabilities Act. Churches fought to retain the right to exclude people by simply not providing access. Now, there were rationales. They could say it was about money. It was about historical buildings. But don't you think it's kind of sad that our churches fought to be able to not have to provide accommodations and access to people with disabilities? In Unity, we pride ourselves on being different. And in many ways, our teachings are very different, very empowering, and instrumental in creating a new way of being here on earth. Yet, we need to be mindful of how we have lagged in practicing our teachings, and instead have allowed ourselves to be conformed to the ways of the world around us. As we work to heal past racial injustice and become more openly welcoming and inclusive to the LGBTQ plus community, I invite us to consider expanding our vision of wholeness, manifesting in the body to include people with disabilities. In the 9th chapter of John, disciples asked Jesus if a man was born blind because he sinned or because his parents sinned. Disability as a punishment or a karmic debt is a fairly common concept. But here is what John says Jesus responded. Jesus said, neither this man nor his parents sinned. He was born blind so that God's works might be revealed in him. So Jesus says, nobody messed up. Nobody missed the mark. This man was born blind so that God's works might be revealed in him. So do you think that was just a commission to blind people? Blind people are the only ones that have to reveal God's work through them? I don't think so. In Matthew chapter 5, it says, let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. So Matthew wasn't talking to a group of disabled people either. This is kind of everybody's mission. So you might paraphrase and say, this person was born blank so that God's works might be revealed through this light. And we can fill that blank in with any characteristic or multiple characteristics. This person was born dwarf. This person was born gay. This person was born Black. And we still end up with the same purpose, so that God's works might be revealed in us. No matter what the body of this incarnation looks like, we are here to reveal God through us. And radical wholeness stands for the idea that as humans, there's no one way our divine wholeness expresses in the manifest body. No one way our body should look or behave. Our divinity is unlimited, and yet our humanity is bound by specific characteristics. Yet we cannot separate them. We need to stop judging bodies and valuing some expressions of humanity over others. And I feel like we need to stop directing others to do their spiritual work to conform to our standards and expectations. You hear that? So how common is it for us quietly in the recesses of our own mind to think, well, they have some healing work to do because we think they should be different than they are. So, what about healing? Does radical wholeness still believe in healing? Well, yes. In the revealing word, Charles Fillmore says that to heal is to bring forth perfect Christ that exists in each one of us. There's that word perfect again. The Christ is the spiritual essence of us, not our body. And healing calls us to tap into that innate wholeness. Perhaps healing is about expressing more of the potential within us and allowing that to bring about shifts in our manifest being. What I suggest is that we stop pointing to a single destination or manifestation as proof that we are using our spiritual power correctly or fully. Now, I need to tell you that Eric Butterworth, in the most recently published book about his teachings, says that if a person is deformed or disfigured in any way, it is evidence that they are unable to access that divine wholeness within them. Now, here's the problem I have with that. I've spent basically my whole life being called by the medical community deformed and disfigured. My spinal column is way not straight. There are lots of parts in me that don't fit together. I am way below average height. I know that's kind of hard to tell on Zoom, but I do not believe that is evidence that I'm not using my spiritual power. Our healing expectations of people with disabilities and people with other conditions that we think they should heal focus on the assumption that they want to change, that they do not love the life they live. And one of the challenges in unity practice has been the idea that if bodies don't meet those specific physical standards, it's a spiritual failure on the individual's part. So we have all these powerful tools, paying attention to our thoughts, affirmations and denials, and prayer. But how confident can a person be utilizing these tools when we also tell them that in their current physical manifestation doesn't look like they're going to be able to use their spiritual power? Unity teachers in general have not accepted deafness, blindness, dwarfism, or other disabilities as consistent with spiritual mastery. We have a lot of trouble imagining a culture of disability in which people are proud of who they are, just as they are. I have to tell you that the greatest gift I got when I was born was my father, who was encouraged by his mother to take me to a faith healer, to lay hands on me, to fix me. And my father said, she's perfect the way she is. There's nothing to heal. That was my introduction to radical wholeness. That I grew up believing that I was perfect the way I was. but we judge bodies in unity. And I wonder if anybody has ever felt judged or worried that others judge who you are as you are. I should tell you that during my licensing and ordination process, in which they asked the ministerial students questions, I was asked why I had not regenerated a normal body. And my response was, for me, this is the perfect physical vehicle to reveal God's work through me. Now, I'm not going to say I don't have a lot of healing that I'm working on. I shared with some early on that I'm still recovering from COVID. But one of the things that I'm working on is not getting taller. Other people may have that expectation that that's what my spiritual mastery would look like. That is not mine. As we release our habit of judging bodies, our teachings should empower individuals to tap into their Christ presence. And then they can shift any area of life they wish. Anybody want to heal some financial issues? Anybody want to heal some relationship issues? Some physical vitality issues? We can do that most powerfully when we are confident of our wholeness. And we understand that our wholeness can show up just the way we are. There's always that divine dance, that spiritual tension between knowing we are loved without measure, just as we are, and knowing that that same divine love pulls us towards a greater expression of the potential within us. But I believe that in unity, we need to stop telling people what to heal and what direction to go. We need to let go of the body standards that we try to hold others to and accept that there's a kaleidoscope of human expression, uniquely different and equally precious. We can support others by acknowledging their spiritual power and wisdom where they are. And we need to allow the wholeness within each of us to guide us, to let our light shine more brightly, and begin to see the radiance in each other. That's what radical wholeness might look like. As you reflect on the idea of radical wholeness this week, think about all the bodies you judge as flawed, as less than. And what might happen if you began to see them as valued expressions of spiritual wholeness? Let's bring radical wholeness into the mainstream of unity thinking. And as we do that, we may want to make our services more accessible. But that's another sermon. So, thank you.